Hello and welcome to CATEX-TV. I'm Tom Bailey in London. It's 4:30 PM in London, 11:30 Eastern Time and 12:30 in Bermuda. Today in history. Today in 322 BC, the philosopher Aristotle died. He was a student of Plato. He was one of the teachers of Alfred the Great, and he reputedly died of indigestion. Today in 1187, the Sultan Saladin captured the city of Jerusalem from the Crusaders. And today in 1972, an Aeroflot I-18 crashed near the Black Sea resort of Sochi, killing 105 people on board. And now to the news. Rescue workers in earthquake-devastated Indonesian city of Padang have been stepping up the hunt for survivors in the rubble of collapsed buildings, although hopes of finding many of the hundreds missing still alive are beginning to fade. As of this afternoon local time, almost 48 hours after the quake hit the Sumatran city, only a handful of survivors have been pulled from the wreckage. The United Nations says it believes more than 1,000 people have been killed, although the latest Indonesian government death toll stands at 777, with hundreds more injured. With foreign aid teams and more heavy lifting gear arriving on the scene, Maris Raham, the deputy governor of Indonesia's West Sumatra province, said he was still hopeful more survivors would be found. Raham said more than 15,000 buildings in Padang had collapsed in the powerful magnitude 7.6 quake. The devastation has already raised questions over lax building standards and whether buildings such as schools were strong enough to cope with a known earthquake zone. One Padang school, reduced to a pile of twisted iron and rubble, had been hosting dozens of students attending after-school lessons when the quake struck. Other buildings brought down by the quake include scores of businesses, hotels, shopping malls and mosques. As rescue teams from Switzerland, Australia, Japan and the US arrived in Padang, the Indonesian government has appealed for further international aid, including medics and medical supplies, to treat hundreds of wounded. Indonesia's president flew to Padang himself today to oversee the release effort. He told emergency service to be prepared for the worst, saying it was better to overestimate than to underestimate. The powerful undersea quake struck on Wednesday evening about 50 kilometers from Padang and caused buildings to sway in the Indonesian capital Jakarta, 940 kilometers away. And the Malaysian city of Kuala Lumpur also experienced building sway. Dozens of aftershocks followed, as did a 6.8 magnitude earthquake that struck early yesterday morning, about 225 kilometers southeast of Padang, causing widespread panic and badly damaged houses, but causing no casualties in Jambi, another Sumatran town. Padang, the capital of Indonesia's West Sumatra province, sits on one of the world's most active fault lines along the so-called Ring of Fire. A massive magnitude 9.2 quake on the same fault in 2004 triggered the Indonesian tsunami that killed more than 220,000 people in Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka and India, among other countries. Padang itself was badly hit by an 8.4 magnitude quake in September 2007, when dozens of people died and several large buildings collapsed. Now, still in the same region, a 6.3 magnitude undersea earthquake has struck off the Tongan and Samoan Islands, shaking a region still struggling to recover from a stronger quake and devastating tsunami that killed nearly 200 people. The US Geological Survey said the earthquake struck at 2:46 AM Greenwich Mean Time today, 242 kilometers off Tonga's northwest island, Niafu, at a relatively shallow depth of 10 kilometers. No immediate tsunami alert was issued by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Hawaii, and experts said the tremor was very likely to be too small to create another deadly wave. Geoscience Australia seismologist Phil Cummins told the AFP news agency, "I don't think there is a particular tsunami danger from that earthquake." The epicenter was 377 kilometers from American Samoa capital Pago Pago, which was hard hit by a magnitude 8 earthquake and tsunami on Tuesday. Tonga is west of the international date line and a day ahead of the Samoan Islands. The confirmed death tolls from Tuesday's tsunami stood at 149 in Samoa, 31 on American Samoa, and 9 in neighbouring Tonga. Dozens of aftershocks have rocked the region since Tuesday, keeping residents on edge as they try to pick up pieces in the wake of the tsunami. Many of the dead have been buried in unmarked beachside graves as the gruesome task of recovering bodies from destroyed villages continues. On Samoa, survivors have been clearing debris and beginning to rebuild their shattered homes, but others remained in nearby mountains and were afraid to return to the coasts. Officials fear that whole towns have been destroyed on outlying islands and hundreds of people remain missing. Thousands of others have been made homeless and hundreds injured. The Samoan Prime Minister was near tears on Wednesday night as he urged the tiny South Pacific island nation to rebuild, calling on church leaders to pray as Samoans grieve. Recovery workers have been frantically trying to recover bodies decomposing in the South Pacific heat. And now to some tropical storm news. The Philippine President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo has declared a nationwide state of calamity as it braces for the arrival of a powerful super typhoon just days after another storm caused the country's worst flooding in decades. Thousands of Filipinos on the main island of Luzon have been ordered to evacuate as Typhoon Palma approached the archipelago, bringing more heavy rain and strong winds. Forecasters have warned that Palma, a Category 5 storm, will hit the islands on Saturday. Arroyo's state of calamity decree will allow governments access to emergency funds for relief work, a spokesman said, adding that several parts of the country were already under a state of calamity following last week's storm. She has also ordered officials to carry out evacuations by force if necessary. The evacuations will come as millions of survivors struggle to cope with the aftermath of Tropical Storm Ketsana, which flooded large parts of the capital, Manila, and left nearly 300 people dead. Several areas of the city remain underwater almost a week after the storm hit. Ketsana struck the Philippines last Saturday and strengthened to a typhoon before battering Vietnam, Cambodia and Laos, where it caused more flooding and left dozens dead. Today, Philippine officials have said evacuations have begun in low-lying and mountainous villages in several provinces north and east of Manila, with plans to relocate other communities as Palma's path becomes clearer. Troops and civil emergency teams are on alert, with storm expected to make landfall near northeastern Quirino and Isabela provinces on Luzon by Saturday if it remains on its present course. And looking at other tropical storm activity, Typhoon Melor, with sustained winds of 120 knots, is heading northwest and is predicted to track northwards and potentially make landfall in the south of Japan. And we're also tracking Tropical Storm Olaf in the eastern Pacific with sustained winds of 39 knots. And now some company news. Munich Re, the world's largest reinsurer, will purchase as much as €1 billion or $1.46 billion of stock as it resumes a share buyback program following the global financial crisis. The Munich-based company will buy back 9.2 million shares. That's equivalent of about 4.7% of its share capital between October the 10th and its AGM on April the 28th next year, it said in a statement today. The shares will then be cancelled. Chief Executive Officer Nicholas von Bomhard said last month the company may resume buying back its own shares because it considers capital to be higher than necessary and doesn't expect more risks related to the financial crisis. The company had a 14% increase in second quarter profit on higher investment income and the sale of the stake in the British Admiral Insurance Group. Catlin has opened a second underwriting office in Rome. The staff, which have joined Catlin from Swiss Re in Italy, will be composed of a 5-member reinsurance underwriting team headed by Antonio Fiengo as senior underwriter branch manager. They will underwrite various classes of treaty reinsurance business. Ralph Tillenberg, Chief Executive Officer of Catlin Europe, said, "I'm delighted that Antonio and his experienced team of underwriting professionals have joined Catlin to launch our Rome office. The team